Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and Horror Movie Night. Tonight I will be reviewing Maniac Cop 2, released in 1990. Maniac Cop 2 stars Robert Davi, Claudia Christian, Robert Zadar, Michael Lerner, Bruce Campbell, Laurene Landon, Clarence Williams III, Leo Rossi, Paula Trickey, Charles Napier, and Danny Trejo. Maniac Cop 2 was directed by William Lustig. Now, two bits of casting in this film that are of interest to me that I want to get to before I get to my regular review here are the casting of the character of Deputy Commissioner Ed Doyle. Now, William Lustig was originally wanting Richard Crenna for this role. But for whatever reason, he didn't play the role, and the role ended up going to Michael Lerner. And, ironically, Maniac Cop in 1988, when they were doing the TV edition, they needed to shoot more scenes for it because they had to cut a lot of the violence out, so that meant they needed additional scenes, otherwise the movie would be far too short on television. So they shot new scenes with Ken Lerner playing a mayor character, completely unrelated to the rest of the story. He's basically just popping in, responding to what the murders are supposed to be that are happening in the film. And the only character he actually interacts with through most of the screen time is his assistant, who was played by Leo Rossi. So the irony in the casting of both Michael Lerner and Leo Rossi in this film is they took the older brother of Ken Lerner, Michael Lerner, cast him as Ed Doyle, and then they took Leo Rossi, who played Ken Lerner's assistant in those TV scenes, and cast him as Stephen Turkel, the murderer of the strippers, which I will get to him later, but I just wanted to point out those little bits of trivia about that. Don't search out that TV edition of Maniac Cop. It's nowhere near as good as the original. The scenes do nothing for the film. That's why I didn't mention it in my original review. But now, this one kind of makes some of the same mistakes as the original movie. Like I said in the original movie, I mean, Tom Atkins was a great character in there, and they killed him off, only to replace him with Bruce Campbell as the hero, which I don't mind Bruce Campbell being the hero, but start him out as the freaking hero. And, you know, the way I look at it now, looking back on this, Tom Atkins could have been the Dr. Loomis to Robert Zadar's Matt Cordell. He could have been in this film pursuing him and onward. I mean, it could have been just like Dr. Loomis for him. You know, he could have been the main guy that is after Matt Cordell. But alas, it wasn't meant to be. And as it turns out, Jack Forrest, Bruce Campbell's character, is not meant to be either. Yes, he's back in this film. But in an awful scene, which is even more disrespectful to the Jack Forrest character than it was to the Tom Atkins character in the original Maniac Cop, Bruce Campbell's character here, Jack Forrest, is killed within the first 18 minutes of the movie. And to make matters even worse, Laurene Landon, Officer Teresa Mallory, his girlfriend, is dispatched about 10 minutes later in the same film. So both of your little heroes of the original movie that you made the heroes by the end of that film are killed off. And the sad thing is, Laurene Landon, as Teresa Mallory, put up an actual fight against Matt Cordell. Jack, he just gets stabbed in the back of the neck while he's reading a fucking paper. What the fuck? And then they wrote him as really stupid in this. They wrote him as just basically... Teresa, they wrote fairly good because they wrote her still believing that they didn't find Cordell's body, that Cordell's got to be still out there. Jack Forrest ends up dismissing it.
You know, if this is the official line that the department's going to use, great.
No, that's a lie.
Just throwing Teresa under the bus as, you know, she's kind of being stupid. You know, that's her. You know, she's just stupid.
Teresa, all I know about is being a cop, and I don't know about you, but I need this job. You know, when you think about it, I mean, what the hell difference does it make who he was?
Because you can't kill the dead.
Teresa, let her go.
It's just so against the character, you know. He knows that Matt Cordell is out there. He knows that he is not dead. And yet they make his character just completely dismissive of anything that happened in the original movie. Just because he wants to keep his job, you know. So I did not like that deviation from his character from the original film. And like I said, Teresa, I mean, she gets this really cool little fight scene with Zadar before he snaps her neck like a twig. So she gets a nice little chase sequence and then is killed. But she was respected better than what Tom Atkins and Bruce Campbell were in this film by the end of this. And then once they are gone, you know, your lead characters that you were following throughout this thing is Robert Davi as Lieutenant Sean McKinney and Claudia Christian as Officer Susan Riley. And I love both of those actors. But again, we have grown attached to Jack and Teresa, and to have them just, they're gone. You know, now we're going to follow two new people. Now, after Teresa is dispatched, you get one of the best action sequences in this film. And it doesn't even involve Matt Cordell. It is an intense, nerve-wracking sequence in which Cordell handcuffs Susan Riley, Claudia Christian's character, to the steering wheel of a car, and then he takes it out of park and then pushes the car to start it rolling, because that's how strong Cordell is. And then she is alongside a moving vehicle in New York through traffic, hanging from the door. And it is a nice action set piece that is well put together and is scary as hell for Susan Riley's, the character of Susan Riley. So, with the sacrifice of Teresa, You know, you do get this really cool freaking sequence, and it doesn't, like I said, other than him handcuffing her and shoving the car and putting her into motion like this, Cordell's not even involved in this nerve-wracking experience that you're witnessing. So, but on Cordell, Robert Z'Dar in this one is even more badass than he was in the previous film. I mean, and they had a bigger budget apparently because his makeup in this is fucking badass. I mean, his makeup on his disfigured, fucked up face looks a hell of a lot better than it did in the original movie. So kudos to them on that one. This, you know, his look is badass in this. Leo Rossi's character of Stephen Turkel, the killer that's murdering strippers, and Z'Dar as Cordell sort of befriends him in a sequence, and I don't know why Cordell was there and why he shows up and why he decides to help this guy. But he is about to kill Paula Trickey's character of Cheryl, make her one of his new stripper victims that he's killing. And Matt Cordell comes to his rescue, saves him. And Paula Trickey's character of Cheryl, she is very attractive, and she's very likable in her role, even though it's a very small part in this film. But she is very instrumental in Turkel getting arrested and everything too. So she's really good in this while she's in it. But as far as Cordell, after he gets arrested, Cordell goes to the police station and you get the most badass sequence in any slasher film ever made, in my opinion. And he just does a full-on Terminator attack on the police station and just offs officer after officer after officer. Leading up to the acting chief of police or whatever getting just grabbed and thrown through multiple freaking walls. It was a kick-ass sequence. And it cemented Robert Z'Dar's Matt Cordell to me as right up there with the top echelon of slashers. Even though today a lot of people do not even think about this movie or this character, unfortunately. But I would put this character right up there with with Jason, Michael, Freddy, Leatherface. He is a badass slasher movie character. Leo Rossi's character in this is really a very memorable character, much like he was in Halloween as Bud. He makes the best of his runtime in this film and has some very memorable moments in this film. You also have two other great B-movie character actors in Clarence Williams III and Charles Napier in here. Now, Charles Napier, admittedly, is basically just playing a small little cameo in here. as Lou Brady, a talk show host that Claudia Christian's Susan Riley goes on to talk about Matt Cordell and warn the people about him.
We have a special late guest here. Actually, she's one of your lady cops. She's also a police psychologist, and her name is Officer Susan Riley. Susan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So he has this one little sequence in there, which is, pretty good little part for him. But Clarence Williams III pops up in there when Stephen Turkel is put in jail. And he has a couple of lines there.
Will you hold it down?
He said he's going to break them out. His friends come in talking about Cordell. Cordell does come, breaks them out, takes that guy, Clarence Williams III's character, Joe Bloom, with him, and they use him as the reason why they're getting into Sing Sing, because he's supposed to be transferred there. And once they're there, Sean McKinney, Robert Davi's character, talks Deputy Commissioner Ed Doyle into getting on a megaphone and talking to Cordell and talking sense into him somewhat, and telling him that he is a good cop, and it was him and others who suppressed the information and made it look like he was a bad cop and everything, and dirtied his name. And that's when Matt Cordell goes off and ends up killing the 3 assholes that disfigured him. Joe Bloom, Clarence Williams III's character, just slumps down in a corner and starts crying like a little bitch. Now, I love Clarence Williams III in the Mod Squad. I loved him playing these villains in various TV shows and stuff. But in this, like I said, this could have been anybody else playing this character. You didn't have to throw in Clarence Williams III. It's just for this little small... It's almost like a cameo, but it's a useless cameo. Whereas Charles Napier's cameo is pretty cool. And Danny Trejo pops in there in that same sequence and that's actually a cool little cameo in there where he has, I don't even know if he has any dialogue or anything. He's in the jail cell with Stephen Turkel and Joe Bloom at the beginning of that sequence. And Danny Trejo was pretty cool in this. I mean, where in that little spot that he got in it. But overall, I think Maniac Cop 2 is an improvement over the original film. Jay Chataway comes back and does the music again, and it's great, as usual. I would give Maniac Cop 2 from 1990. I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. It would have probably been a 10 had they not done Bruce Campbell and Lorraine Landon's characters the way they did them in this film. And another little bit of a thing that takes it away from this is Robert Davi's Sean McKinney never has not one sequence where he encounters Matt Cordell. There's no showdown. There's nothing with those two characters facing off or anything. I think that was a missed opportunity in this film. But anyway, what did you think of this film? Have you seen this film? Do you agree with my review? Has my review made you want to find this film and watch it. Let me know in the comments down below. And as usual, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, because it really does help this channel out a lot. Now, do not forget to join me tomorrow for Dark Knight Films Night, as I will be doing another actor spotlight. I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.